Well, hey everybody, how y'all doing today? It's Crusty Old Crow back again on this rainy Tuesday, November the 7th. And I'm going to do a couple videos today for the Tactical Perspective toy review, but they're not going to be actual reviews. They're just going to be discussion videos about some stuff that's been itching away at us for news for Joe's of late, and just some stuff that has been discussed online a lot about Hasbro and ways ahead for them. So I'm going to do what we in the military call an after action review on G.I. Joe Classified, this series by Hasbro that I'm so fond of. And I'm doing so with such a bias, you know, because I want to see them succeed. It's almost like I've become dependent on them succeeding now because the dopamine release of buying a new Joe that I had as a kid is so precious to me now. So, what is an after action review? If there's most of my demographic here, they know my background in the military. And a lot of you watching probably have some background in the military, and a lot of you don't. That's, I don't know. Anyways, an after-action review is something we did in the forces routinely after an exercise or an operation to just discuss the points of what all happened, what the objective was, and what we did correctly, so points to sustain, and what we could have improved upon for the next time, you know, so points to improve on, right? And then we talk about the road ahead and we just carry on. We go on to the next task or exercise or whatever. So I'm going to apply this kind of logic to how I view Hasbro. Again, when I think about this toy line, I don't just think about the toys, which are just fantastic toys and everything they bring to us and the nostalgia about it. I also think about like where their heads are at, because I realize, guys, they're not the enemy. Hasbro is not the enemy. They are the allies, and they are almost the perfect allies. Much like how Marvel had that big boost of success in the early 2000s and so on, not so much now. It's due to the fact that the right writers were coming into that age where they had the right jobs to make Marvel very successful in the movie industry, right? CGI had come to a time, all the actors were willing participants, Disney got involved, money was abundant, and they could hire the guys that wanted to be there and the guys with vision. Since then, they've hired other people. But Hasbro is the same. They are the same kids if we played with our Joes on our front lawn back in the 80s, these were the kids that would come and join us. With their own collection of Joes. They are just like us, but they're in different snapshots of different generations. Maybe they weren't around for the 82 to 87 releases. Maybe they joined in the 90s. The bottom line is they were all passionate about these characters, more or less. These are the guys that are running Joe. I feel that when I watch them talk, because I do watch the PulseCon interviews and releases and stuff like that. And guys, I get a lot of the news that I learn about, and I just sit back and think about it for a long time before I speak on it. And Hasbro team is one of those guys I just want to keep singing the praises to when I hear where their direction of the company is going. So over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of varying opinion on the Joes, so I'm just going to get into when they came out. Guys, when the Classified series actually got released, we were in the midst of COVID. It was 2020. It was February 2020 when pre-orders started going up for the first kind of Classified stuff. And at that time, they were feeling out a very successful market, which was the video gamer market crossing over to a toy collectible market. Right, and I'm talking about this Fortnite phase they went through. So the first wave, and I apologize, guys, I don't own any of my images. I just pull up what I pull up on Google. Sometimes they're clear, sometimes they're not. But the first wave really just came out with all the figures that they thought would dip in and reflect whether that's a successful approach or not. So I'm talking about these Fortnite-esque versions of Roadblock and the Firefly, sorry, not Firefly, the first version of Gung Ho, the very first version of Storm Shadow, which was that ninja camouflage winter eccentric dealy. I don't know if you can see it on here. And then the Profiteer Destro, like these were all kind of over the top first renditions to see how it went, but the quality of the toy was actually pretty good. As they went on, they started trying to get it right by building away from the Fortnite stuff. A lot of the criticism kind of came back, and I think especially when I see things like Firefly and Storm Shadow and Destro and Roadblock, I see where that criticism lay. It was like, you guys are so close, just get rid of that gear and put them back to the way they were when we were kids, and they did that. So the points to improve for how they kind of went over time, I'm just going to focus on what I had written down. So I said that the points to sustain, keep these troop building and diversity options out there for your market. All right, that would be the first point. So I was very impressed when the Valkyrie set out, and I started seeing just whenever Hasbro had the opportunity to apply a more diverse flesh tone option to the figure, they did that, and they did that with the Televiper and the Valkyries. Like, you had African American hands, or you had Caucasian hands, and the faces and the necks, and that is keeping your product relatable. So I would definitely keep doing that. And the troop building that you're doing right now for Hasbro, it's good. It's a little all over the place, but it's good. And I would keep focusing on that. And then for the what is it? Yeah. So they did learn a good lesson when it came to repaints and what not to. I wouldn't say they learned a lesson, but they're dialing it in slowly. They made a big mistake, I think, when they first started getting the repaints out quick for Tiger Force, and I'm thinking about them specifically. You had Recondo coming out in a Tiger Force variant before anybody had an original version of Recondo for the classified series. And even now, the closest we're going to get, and I'll talk about it in another video, the next video, but you're going to get a retro Recondo for the retro line, which is going to be your original representation of Recondo. And that seemed to have enough negative feedback. And then all of a sudden they had Bazooka coming out almost at the exact same time, and Outback coming out almost at the exact same time, and these repaint options. So when the Tunnel Rat came out, the Tunnel Rat Direct regular edition came out, it was only a matter of weeks before all of a sudden we were seeing the Tiger, it was either the Night Force or the Tiger Force repaints that Hasbro intends to release. And I think a lot of people kind of snapped at that point, and the feedback started getting heard, and I'm hoping that they're hearing it, because it seems like they're kind of getting more aware of it. And what I'm hearing back from the Pulse stuff and all that is just like, I think they understand now. You want your original first, a pause 2, 3, maybe a year or a wave in between, and then the repaint, if there's going to be a repaint. And I totally am for that as well. I'm like, holy crap, guys, don't make me have buyer's remorse 2 days after I buy one of your toys, please. It's not like $35 Canadian is a huge investment. It's not, but it's a dedicated investment that, you look forward to spending it accurately for what you want. Don't give me the option after the fact that is either better or taints what I just bought from you. Give a pause for a while. I hope that they are listening to that. It appears they are listening to the fan feedback, and I think when it comes to the repaint stuff, they are really listening carefully and trying to be very careful with it, and I think they need to continue to do so. Under the improvement stuff, that almost did sound like a point to improve, because it was as well. It goes hand in hand with how we're spending our money. The quality control issue and the being consistent with your quality control issue right now. The thing that's going for G.I. Joe Classified right now is it's one of the top, if not the top figure on the market as far as dollar value and craftsmanship. And that dollar value is very questionable in some of these classified, and the feedback is almost instantaneous. We live in an age where everybody's making YouTube videos, right? So you see a lot of the feedback right away, especially in the toy reviews, right? Like I do on my other shows. So these quality control issues with Firefly and other little oopsies when in the assembly line or warps, they need to really dial those in and get that bar back up. You want to quell all that negative criticism right away before it becomes a predictable comment on every product. You know, yeah, we loved our new release of whoever, but man, here we go again with shaky torsos, shaky limbs, you know. Oh, look, this leg's on backwards, whatever, you know, like, it is what it is. We want them to improve on that, but the biggest one I think they need to improve on, and this is really why I kind of wanted to make this video, we need to work on being predictable, Hasbro. I hope you're listening. Hasbro, be more predictable. Okay, it's going to serve you in the end. Yeah, you want to have the excitement of the releases. You want to have Easter eggs. You want to continue to do all that stuff. You want to have an air of mystery about what your next move is. But you want your consumers to be able to plan accordingly on how they spend their money. Trust me on this. The priority to suddenly go out and get figures changes when the last wave makes certain figures very unavailable. Now there's a race because you're not sure which ones are going to sell out, quick ones, and you can sometimes predict who's going to be a peg warmer, but you don't always know. So what I would recommend Hasbro start doing, and this is very simple, is start putting a date on the side of the box. To pull up a box, start putting a date for how long this wave will be available. You have so much legal gobbledygook over here and down here that honestly, just somewhere over here saying this figure will be available on the market from March 2022 to March 2024, right? Tell them how long before you're going to pull that release back so people can say, all right, if I want a troop build, I want to buy one every few months for this long, or maybe I got to make sure I just buy it before this date. Prioritize, because you have collectors out there that are doing exactly what you want them to do, Hasbro. They're buying multiples of certain figures. They're sniping others. But having those dates and making those known on the package, how long they'll be available, it's not going to change your overall sales. It might change the scale on which you see them on the momentum charts, but overall, your top end's going to be the same. In fact, it's probably going to go higher. Because if people can prioritize what they are buying in your releases, they can make room for the bigger stuff faster. And you need to start putting out some bigger stuff. You've just proven that you're going to put out vehicles, wheeled vehicles at least. So we know about the Vamp coming, so that puts other vehicles on a very achievable scale for the retail shelf, not the HasLab shelf. You want people to pay $150 to $200 for something off the Toys R Us or Target shelving, then allow us to see it coming, and allow us to build to it, and allow us to know what else is coming and when and how long it'll be available, and we will buy this stuff. 100%. Buy it. Buy it all up. Yum, 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 yum. All right? But to tell us, buy it and compete with each other for whether it'll be available to you, and who knows if you'll ever get it again, it's a very frustrating part of the market. And when you see HasLab, which is the second side of this, you want to buy a Hiss tank. You want to buy a Dragonfly. You want all that great stuff. You want to fund these projects so you can see a whale down the line, or a Rattler, or a Night Raven, whatever. You want to fund all that. But it's very difficult to picture being able to put it all aside and saying, yeah, I can work that into my entertainment budget while still maintaining a unpredictable purchasing schedule every new wave release, because we don't know when and how or what, right? Pre-orders help solve some of it, guys, but that is not always the way that these figures are coming to us, right? Enough on that. The focus on being predictable goes hand in hand with focus on being direct to your market. Okay, so that's another point of system. Be more direct to not just your market, but to your brand. Stay true to the brand. I am talking about what direction we're going with Night Force right now. This is all part of the merger between trying to get a crossover going with G.I. Joe and Transformers, and the whole movie market is dipped right in there. And yes, the comic books and everything has always gone back and forth from G.I. Joe to Transformers, and it's always been kind of hot or cold. Yet here we're going again, and we're doing this again, but we're doing it with a finer quality toy. And I don't collect Transformers, and I see them saturating Walmart shelves, sitting there, not moving, but still coming out in abundances. So I know somebody's buying them. Kids are probably buying. Kids love Transformers still, I'm sure. But now I'm watching it cross back into Joe terrain, and I see that Joe is writing their characters around it for Night Force and things like that. And I'm like, how many times do you have to get burned by the stove before you stop touching it? Instead of focusing so much on expanding into a new market that isn't new at all, the Dark Energon, the movies, Transformers, none of that's new. None of it. And the failures that go, or the risks involved with it, none of that's new either. And you continually do it because you see the low-hanging fruit dollar sign on it. And here we go again. You need to dial that back. No one's saying don't do it. Well, some people are very excited about it. I will be buying them if they're regularly available, sure. But I don't need to be a huge thing, and I don't want it to come at the detriment of other releases and other things. Tiger Force is hit or miss with a lot of people, and to focus everything on Night Force, I feel like that's the higher priority than maybe sorting out Tiger Force issues. It's just the way I'm looking at the way they release these things. They have two other releases that for elements that I don't see any carry through for, and I'm talking about Desert Combat and Arctic, right? Very little carry through on those as they continue to try and do something with a Transformers crossover and Night Force. I like the Night Force figures. Like I said, I want them. The story just seems to kind of run that risk, you know, and the mole troopers and all that stuff, while they're enticing and they are cool figures and everything like that, the lore behind it from a military, tactical, whatever perspective seems, again, like Fonzie jumping the shark back in the Happy Days, right? So that's where I kind of wish they would dial it in, go back to doing the original figurines, control your variance waves. Maybe tell them, and this goes with the predictability again, commit yourself to maybe doing 2 repaints per wave, right? 1 Tiger Force and 1 whatever, Python Patrol or whatever repaint per wave. And everything else has to be original until the originals are done and over with. You still haven't finished the original first wave of the Joes. You've spread it out brilliantly between the 82 release, the 86 release, and others in between. To capture the widest net of the old fan base, but you are so close. You're missing Short Fuse, you're missing Grand Slam and Flash, right? Like and Zap to finish off those waves. That's like an incomplete painting that you've really done a great job with so far. We want to see that finished, right? So focus on the originals. Stop expanding into new terrain while you haven't finished the exciting old terrain. And that's not to say don't expand into the new terrain, just dial it back. The last part I would say is get your money back. The point to improve in the road ahead for Hasbro is to start snapping some of its money back from its competitors. Specifically, I'm talking about the conversion pieces, right? You hear people going to places like Gridiron and whatnot, and or whatever they're called, and all these 3D prints. It's been happening to all the toy markets and the gaming markets and everything like that to some level. 3D printing is a mixed blessing, but Hasbro, it's going to cost you your money that you could include in your regular profits with Joe. And I'm talking about conversion pieces, going back to making troop builders your focus. More 3-packs. You had a 3-pack of Vipers. Why don't you have a 3-pack of the original Cobra Trooper and Cobra Officers? You went right to Valkyrie 2-packs with that. Why don't you have a 3-pack for the Crimson Guard? 3-pack Snow Serpents. Will you have a 3-pack of Iron Grenadiers? These are your these are your troop builder big revenues, right? The Steel Corps, are we going to see some variants of that? Start making that those troop builders come with actual, you know, faces and diverse hands like you've been doing with others, and watch those profits roll in a little bit more. Also, the last one I'll close out on, and as far as the road ahead for you guys, is just a little thing for Joe. Retro, these are being thrown in retro all the time, so Hasbro is aware that fans appreciate these. These I have to buy aftermarket, and that's another market that Hasbro can snatch away if they sort out their packaging issues and decide whether they're going to be plastic free or not. There are cheap available ways for the Hasbro to achieve this little nuance, and that's more revenue they can capture for themselves, specifically for their stuff. Maybe even customize them. An example of where these do all right. I got to bring in my boy Mitch Marner or Austin Matthews. We'll bring them both in. Right? These, I think the company's dragging these NHL representations that I pick up at Toys R Us. Come with their own stands that you peg in, and they come with the name on them, and they are dirt cheap. And I get these guys for what, 20 bucks Canadian tops, which is great in Canada. I'm sure the Americans pay like what, probably 10 bucks for them, right? Or 10 to 15. My point being is lots of toys come with their own stands, and they don't always have to be glorious or whatnot. The simpler the better at times, and that's a way for G.I. Joe to claw back some of its revenue and appeal to its collectors market a little bit more. And that's that for this one, guys. So that's really the after action review for what we've been seeing with Hasbro and where I kind of see some issues going. And I don't expect this video to get a lot of likes or a lot of comments, and that's fine. I just kind of wanted to get it out there on this one because I want Hasbro to really succeed in this one. And when you get to be 50 years old and you've always kind of been into the toy culture a little bit at some level, either paying attention or collecting things over the years, you see where the low-hanging fruit is, and you get a little upset when you see one of your favorite toy companies starting to reach. You know, trying to grab at it. And you're like, no, that's all the beat up shit. Like, we've proven that stuff doesn't work out well, and it's a quick snatch of money, and then everybody's upset. Don't do it. And that's what I hope I'm kind of capturing a snapshot of in this video. My next video is going to be about the what we've learned in October and what we're expecting and the new releases and all that other stuff. It should be a much more interesting video, I hope. But thank you guys for watching. If you did like this video, do hit like. If you want to make a comment, make a comment. If you really like it, subscribe. I'm happy to have you all on board, and I will see you on the next video. I've been the Crusty Old Crow, and remember, knowing's half the battle. We'll see you next time. Bye.